Next morning, I saw the door open and I closed my eyes, pretending me asleep. I feel him open the wardrobe and I opened my eyes to see him, who took his clothes and ran in the washroom. I smiled and got up. Walking to the balcony, my mind was and heart was just thinking about him, who was becoming my life. I kept standing there while my eyes were fixed on the clear sky, where birds start flying. I started on the voice and turned to see, but froze where I was. He was coming with towel in his hand and were dyeing his hair with it. He didn't notice me, but I couldn't hold myself and took step toward him. On my step, his eyes moved up and meet mine. I felt my heart skipping its beat as I saw him wet hair filled with water drops. His face to his crystalline neck, tiny water drops were looking like pearls shining on her clear skin, created an urge inside me to touch him, to pick them with my lips. I came closer to him, who was shocked at first, but then his eyes lowered down and cheeks turned to pink. As I stopped in front of him, he took a step back, but I didn't give him a chance to run. Moving my arms around his waist, I pulled him in my arm, gliding with my chest, his eyes moving to meet mine. Towel slipped from his hand and I felt him shivering and sought to get free. Theo, Jungkook, that I. He shuddered while trying to move out of my arms. I would, I said and pulled him more closer, that his arm around my shoulder. So beautiful, I whispered, looking at him beautiful eyes which were shivering. Jungkook, he called me and I captured his face. I moved closer to his face and placed my lips on his right cheek and picked the water drop with my lips. I moved to his hair, which were drenching him and made me crazy for him more. Burying my face in his neck to feel his wet hair, I inhaled the intoxicating fragrance while I felt him shivering on my closeness. Traveling my other arm toward his neck, I started tracing it with my thumb and heard his gasp as my thumb touched his cold neck. Theung, calling him, I placed my lips on the side of his neck. He held me tightly as I placed another kiss on his beautiful neck. While I kept touching his throat with my thumb, I felt my breath got uneven with his feel. Cook, his breathless voice came as I kissed his ear, and he struggled his face in my neck shyly. I want to tell you something. What? He asked breathlessly. I think I stopped. I stopped as my own breath was dragging as I was burning in the intensity rising between us. What? It's difficult. I whispered in his ear while my hand, his neck, went to cup his face. I moved back and looked at him whose eyes were still closed, carrying his cheek. His eyes slowly opened. I didn't say anything, but I kept looking at Tae, who was beating to my heart. What? He asked, looking in my eyes. Want to know? I asked, but he didn't say anything and lowered his eyes. Let me tell you. Pulling him more closer, I said. I leaned close and again snagged my face in his neck, making him gasp again. It's difficult. I stopped inhaling his fragrance. What? Slowly, he asked breathlessly as I know my touch was affecting him. To stay far from you. I whispered and kissed his ear, and my lips moving to his jaw. To stop myself anymore. He asked breathlessly, and I know my touch was affecting Tae. Jungkook, Theung, I was about to confess my love when we heard a doorbell. I moved back and we looked at him, who was already looking at me. Again a doorbell, and we slowly moved back, separating for each other. I looked at him, who was looking down, and his face turning to ripe tomato. I smiled and scratched my head when again I heard a doorbell. I'll just come. As Jungkook left, I held the wardrobe to stop myself from falling. I was shivering and was my feeling my body was on fire. Merely his closeness did all this to me. I sat down on the carpet floor with beating heart, shivering body, and shy smile. What just happened? I thought all the moments start flashing on my mind, making me shy again. Sweet triangles were knocking on my heart, and I was just welcoming them to tease me more and more of it. I was happy that we took a step too close to each other. I heard a voice coming from downstairs. I took deep breath and got up with beating heart. Thay, as Minnie saw me, he ran to me and I bent down to pick him in my arm. My son, kissing his cheek, I said and walked in where everyone was sitting. I greeted them all and hugged Jin and Jimin Hyung while I was saw Miss John seated with her daughter. Tete uncle, yes, I love you. As he said, my lips stretched into a smile, while my eyes was filled up with tears. He was the first one who ever said this word to me. It made me emotional. I looked up at his innocent smile and beautiful eyes with fixing on me. I kissed her cheek with love. Love you too, son, I said, and he smiled more while hugging me. I looked at everyone who was smiling so for Jungkook. I saw him again, looking at his brother and father. So why all of the sudden? Yoongi, did we disturb your revenge? It's not like that. I was just asking, Jungkook said, and I looked at him who was looking at me. We came here to meet you and two of you know it's mom dad anniversary tomorrow, so we decided to celebrate it together. It will be fun, Jungkook said and looked at me. Well, for now, we'll take some rest. See you on breakfast, Yoongi Hyun said, and everyone nodded. Tiang, come, he said, but I shook my head as no. You go, should start preparing breakfast, I said, twinkling my fingers with each other. I said, come, he said, and come closer to me. Taking my hand in his, he started walking towards the stairs with me. Step in the room, he closed the door. What happened, Jungkook? I asked, looking at his disturbed face. Why all of the sudden they? Are not you happy to see your family? I am happy, but they just what? I asked, not understanding what was going on in his mind. They just ruined our privacy. It's it's not like that. Saying, I turned to other side. Really? His teasing voice made my lips to stretch into a smile. Coming in front of me, he lifted my chin to make me look at him. You'll forget in your hospitality. He looked and I shook my head as no. That I mean. Shuddering, I freed my hand from him and took a step back in nervousness. I what? He asked, and I saw a clear and teasing smirk on his face. My eyes lowered down as those moments of closeness started teasing me again. My cheeks hit up and started beating, running fast. Jungkook, let me go, I said and tried to free my hand. If I didn't let you go then? He asked and coming closer to me, and I started moving back. So running from me, he asked, and I stopped by the wall. No, just. I shuddered, looking away. Nervous, he said as he drunk my hair stand behind my ear. At that time, I heard a knock and sang. Jungkook moved back and gave me way to the door. I opened the door and saw Jimin and Jimin, we thought to help you in breakfast. There, Jimin Hyang said, and I smiled. I nodded with a smile. Sure, I said and turned to see him, who was smiling, looking at us. I took his clothes out of the wardrobe and placed them on the bed. Taking a new towel out, I gave it to him, and we went to cook breakfast with Jimin and Jin. Apple, please, said Jin, and Namjoon Hyung started cutting the slice of apple while we all giggled, looking at who was having apple with slice of bread. His craving was so dangerous. Good morning, everyone, said Jungkook as he reached hall. Hyung, sit. I was about to turn when he held my hand. Yes, there sit. Minnie, who was still in the lap of Jungkook, said, and I sat on the chair as Jungkook was not leaving my waist. He freed my waist as I sat down on the seat, and we all started having our breakfast. But suddenly, the bread slice struck in my thought because someone held my hair under the table, and I knew Who is Colby? Looking down, I found my hand caged in the strong hand. I looked up at who was smiling, passing jokes to Minnie, who was sitting next to his chair now. Jungkook calling him in a whisper, turning to me, his finger engaged in my, making my cheeks heat up. Leave my hand, slowly I said, but he winked at me, giving me shock more, and I looked around immediately to find out if we were seen, but thankfully all were busy in their talk. Rest of the time, he kept holding my hand, and I was not able to eat anymore, and his touch was tingling me. Jungkook Papa, we want to shop around. Sure, I have some meetings. Let me attend them. After that, we will go. Mr. John, can we come with you, Jungkook? Sure, Dad, Jungkook said, and we all got up the table, and he freed my hand. Okay, Mom, I'll come back soon, Jungkook said, and didn't forget to look at me. Take care. He took his laptop and walked out while Jungkook's mom followed. Miss John. Jungkook, what happened? Nothing, Mom. I forgot something in my room. My file. He answered and looked at me and went inside. But my heart jumping on the way. He looking at me, I stood there in the hall entrance, waiting for him. Jungkook. When he shouted my name. Tiang, Tiang, my file. He yelled and I didn't move. Miss John, you don't need to get close to my son. Don't forget that this wedding happened. We never accept you. This marriage is not go for so long. Just wait. Miss John, go. What are you waiting for? Help him. Mom said and I nodded. I looked at all of them who was looking at me. I slowly walked toward my room. I opened the door of the room and entered. Then why were you calling me? I asked, not understanding. He didn't say a word but looked at me so intensely. I suddenly became nervous. You don't know why I called you? He asked, looking into my eyes. I took one step backward. He took one step closer to me. And before I could accept from there, his hand reached on my waist, and in a second he pulled me toward him, making me groan. He smiled, looking at me. My one hand was placed on his chest and other was on his shoulder. Jungkook, I stammered. Shh, he said and put his thumb on my lip, making my heart flutter. What is happening to me? Why I am melting on his touch? He was scaring my lip with his touch, looking directly into my eyes. I was feeling breath getting uneven. You really don't know why I called you. He whispered, sending sensation in my body. I lowered my eyes, my cheek flushed red. He was still touching my lips. His fingers were moving on my lips, making me forget everything. My eyes closed automatically on his nearness and touch. He brought me more closer by pulling me toward him, making me mourn. Our body crashed with each other. I felt his hand traveling from my face to my hand. His ran his finger through my hair, sending shivers and sensation down to my spine. I gathered his shirt tightly. My whole body was on fire. I was burning in his flame. His fingers were moving in my hair. I opened my eyes and met with his gaze. He was burning me in his flame. I was enjoying it. Jungkook, you are getting late. A stammering said. I saw him smiling. He cupped my face with his hand and placed his lip on my forehead. I closed my eyes. He kissed my forehead with so much passion that I forgot to take breath. He kissed my forehead, but after that kiss, he didn't remove his lips on my forehead. He stayed there for a while, then he touched his forehead with mine and looked into my eyes. I called you for this, he said, and my face hidden up. I know my cheeks would be as red as tomato. I like when you blush, he whispered, and I started biting my lips. He touched my lips with his tongue. His touching was making my heart skip its 1,000 beats. I was shivering. His breath was fanning in my face, making my heart beat fast. We stayed like they're lost in each other when we heard, Miss John. Jungkook, where are you? Did you get the file? I come to my consciousness when we both separate from each other. God, why didn't I stop him? What again just happened? Coming, Mom, I found it. Jungkook come closer to me. He kissed my forehead Once again, with the same passion, I closed my eyes again on his nearness. Bye, wifey, he said and wiggled at me. I blushed and he took one file placed on the table and went out of the room. I sat on the bed and started controlling my uneven heartbeat. My legs were shivering. No, I can't get close to Jungkook. I don't have to think that in the end he will also leave me. Theo, don't dream anything.